out with some macroeconomic things, right, and start with something that's very important to you, right? And that's carbon solutions. I'm looking across the country and across the world, and that's still an issue. I'm watching the Moderna CEO, and he's talking about us being in a series of pandemics, right? We were in a health pandemic, which turned into a financial pandemic, which has turned into a war pandemic. We're in a misinformation pandemic, right? And that's a crucial one. And sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in the game, like Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota Timberwolves, looking like, is the climate pandemic, which is yet to hit us yet. We're talking about the Paris Agreement, right? The U.S. pulled out, then we're back in. Where are we? Are we close to getting to where we need to be by 2030, which is calling for cutting, right, greenhouse gas emissions by 43% in order for us to achieve certain things? Where are we there, and why can't we get a carbon tax implemented in this country?
Well, so many of the most industrialized nations in the world already have carbon programs, carbon fee programs.
Yeah.
Some call it a tax, some are taxes, in other cases they're fees. My bill, the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, is not a tax. Let's be real clear on that. It's a fee that will be placed on every metric ton of carbon that certain industries, companies produce, and the fee collected does not go to government. It would go back to the American people. And what this does is incentivizes industry and corporations that emit these emissions to innovate, to put in the best technology to reduce their emissions, thereby reducing the crisis of climate change that we are all enduring throughout the world and in our country and in my district. And it would provide jobs, and it would give back the American people the dividend monthly, which is a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. But why not a tax, though? You have African leaders and other academic, professors that are calling and saying, hey, tax will help, because at that point, companies will get serious about, going overboard. It's exposed to the public. Why not a tax? Why these caps and programs and all this other stuff? Why not just a guarantee? They tax the government tax everything. We got soda tax. You have cigarette tax, alcohol tax. Certain cities and counties tax marijuana now, which is becoming, at that point, you're almost looking at it like a federal thing. But why not a carbon tax? What's the problem with getting it passed? What's the cons?
Well, a tax is one way, but I thought I would bring the entire American people with me and tell them this is not about government collecting more taxes. This is finding an innovative market principled framework that both Republicans and Democrats can get behind to be able to incentivize the reduction of emissions that will allow us to address climate change, create jobs, and put skin in the game for every American, because they would get the fees collected going back to them to minimize any costs for energy increases, to make sure that we are doing everything possible to minimize the increase of emissions in our country. And keep in mind, this would also put in a framework that it would provide a border adjustment fee or tax for companies in other countries that want to send their products into our country that don't have a carbon fee program in their countries. So in other words, we would incentivize the world to come along with us as well for those countries that haven't put in a carbon fee program in place to be committed, rowing the same way to reduce carbon emissions. Because anybody who wants to send products to our country, India, China, would have to pay that fee, the border adjustment fee, to be able to trade and provide their goods in our country.
Yeah, you mentioned international trade, right? Again, you born in Mexico, right? When you see so much talking about border security, what is the state of the U.S.-Mexico relationship?
Well, I think that we were able to achieve the United States and Mexico, the USMCA trade compact.
Yeah.
I think it was a good compact because it was bipartisan, and both Democrats and Republicans worked together to hammer out a trade compact that would allow for trade, economic prosperity for both countries. And I think it was a good one. Was it a perfect compact? No. But was it a good one? Yes.
You look at the U.S. presidential election is this year, right? You're in the Democratic Party. Talk to U.S. voters. Talk to those who are independent. Why should they reelect a Democratic president?
Well, I think if you look at what this president has achieved, some of the most historic pieces of legislation that improve people's lives, the bipartisan infrastructure law, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Chips and Science Act, helping our veterans, help investing in our infrastructure, lifting people up, renewable energy, improving people's quality of life. We have the two strongest years of job growth in history. Manufacturing has rebounded at a rate of more than nearly 40 years to be exact. Two of the strongest years for small business applications in history. Lowest unemployment rate in over 50 years. New record low Black and Hispanic unemployment. This president has done a lot of consequential legislation to improve the American people's lives.
Yeah.